So these lines cover 206. I'm sorry, this video covers lines 206 to 218. So this is where Iarbas actually makes his speech in Book 4 of the Aeneid. And as usual, go ahead, mark the text up, pause it, mark it up, and then come back. Okay, well, hopefully you marked up that he's addressing Jupiter Omnipotens, his father. That would be the subject. We do have a clause here starting with cui, and it ends at honorem. Inside the clause, I see that gens and Marussia are both nominative, so this is going to be the subject. Epulata is a participle, also nominative singular, fits feminine, describing gens. Now, pictis is an adjective going with toris. Lenaium is another adjective. It's going with honorem. Looks like a direct object to me. And then our verb is libat. That still doesn't get us to the main verb of the entire sentence. That's just the main verb of the clause. And here's the main verb of the entire sentence. Auspicus and haec would be these things, direct object. So the sense of it, the independent thought is, all-powerful Jupiter, do you see these things? Like, come on, dude, are you looking at these things? Aeneas, hooking up with Dido, etc.? So what are we going to do with the clause? So omnipotent Jupiter, all-powerful Jupiter, to whom now the Moorish race of people, meaning Iarbas's race of people, having banqueted or feasted on the painted couches, makes an offering of the Bacchic honor. What is the Bacchic honor? That's wine. So Jupiter, to whom he's like, come on, we're making this offering to you of wine. We've done all these religious duties for you. Do you see these things? In the second question, we can see he's speaking once again to Jupiter directly, genitor. I see a clause with cum, and it's going to end at torques. That's the first verb. That's a main verb of a clause. Fulmina would be the direct object. How do I know that's the direct object? A couple of things. It's a neuter noun, and the verb is singular. So this plural neuter noun would have to be accusative. And also, O means I, S means you. The subject of torques would be you, meaning Jupiter. Now, horemus looks to be a main verb, and the subject of horemus would be we. And then we have the second independent thought here. The subject is kaiki nubes. It's a prepositional phrase embedded in there, in nubibus. Terrificant is a main verb. Animos, direct object. Miscent, another main verb. Inania murmura would be our direct object. So, putting it all together, he says, or do we shudder, that's S-H-U-D-D-E-R, do we shudder at you, O Father, in vain when you hurl thunderbolts? In other words, your thunderbolts are supposed to be really scary, and are we scared for no reason? I mean, do you really just have no power? Because if you had power, you wouldn't be letting Aeneas come take my woman. That's the gist of it. And do blind fires in the clouds terrify our souls and mix meaningless murmurs? I couldn't help but get the alliteration going on in there. Inania really means more like useless or empty. So do they mix useless murmurs? And then he's asked some questions pretty boldly of his dad, Jupiter. Not too many people could speak to Jupiter this way. And now he's going to state why he's asking his father these questions, like why he's so angry. And of course he starts it with femina, woman, meaning Dido. I see a clause from quae to posuit. I see another clause. We'll go ahead and mark it from qui. And I'm going to keep going because you see that there's another qui there. So we'll end it at dedimus. So the independent thought of the whole sentence really is femina and then from conubia on. So repulit would be the main verb of the whole sentence, as would recepit. In the independent thought, we have subject, verb. Nostra connubia would be a direct object. Connubium being a neuter noun. And then Aeneon Dominum, Master Aeneas, would be direct object. In regna would be a prep phrase. Now going to the clauses themselves, inside the clause we have rons, that's describing, of course, quae, meaning the woman, meaning Dido. I see a prep phrase with en finibus. Urbem is modified by exiguam. I see the main verb of the clause would be posuit. And then in these clauses here, dedimus is the main verb of the clause. And litus is a neuter noun, so this is going to be a direct object, and it's being modified of sorts by arandum. And then leges is another direct object. So putting it all together, if we just read it starting with the subject and then going with the clauses, it says, the woman who, oh gosh, let me backtrack, I'm sorry, nostris is part of the prepositional phrase, it's nostris and finibus. The woman who, wandering in our borders, placed, meaning like established, a small, like, tiny, scanty little city for a price, to whom we gave a shore to be plowed, and to whom we gave the laws of the place. This woman here rejected our marriage, meaning Iarbas' marriage offer, and received Master Aeneas into her kingdoms. Going back to these clauses for a second here, it was sort of considered, in bad form or cowardly to have to buy your city, which is what Dido apparently did here with this word, instead of, fighting for it. And then in this part, when he says a shore to be plowed, just meaning we gave her some land that she could farm. That's essentially it. And so come on. This woman who is not in a position of power at all, we gave her everything she's got here. She rejects me, and she's going to, take this guy into her kingdoms? That's not cool. And then he goes on in his last lines here, and hopefully you saw that ille Paris is the subject here. That Paris, whoa, he refers to Aeneas as Paris, the woman stealer. Prep phrase, cum semiviro comitatu. Subnexus is a participle describing the subject, that Paris, meaning Aeneas. Myonia is an adjective describing Mitra. Now, madentem is a participle describing crinem. Mentum and crinem are both accusative, and they are those weird things. I'll go ahead and say it here. We've seen it a few times now. Accusative of respect. We'll get to there in just a minute in terms of how to translate it. It's not easy to translate literally. I think that you'll understand the gist of what Virgil is saying. Trying to put it together literally kind of makes a mess, but we'll try our best. Potator, finally, we get our main verb. That's one of those deponent verbs, like utor, for example, and a few others, wescor, fungor, that take an ablative direct object. The ablative direct object is actually missing because rapto is an ablative participle, so we're going to have to make one up. We'll get there in just a few minutes. After the colon, nos is going to be our subject. Ferimus would be our first main verb. Munera, each and every day, neuter plurals and nene. Tuis is modifying templis. Foemus is our second main verb. And then in nonem, there's that word once again, meaning useless. It's describing famam. So, he concludes his really kind of bold speech to his dad, Jupiter, king of the gods, by saying, and now that Paris, meaning Aeneas, with his effeminate entourage, or his effeminate company, and then this is where it gets really weird. This literally means, having been tied under with respect to his chin and dripping hair, with a Maionian hat. What? That's the literal translation. The more figurative way of saying it is that guy whose chin and dripping hair are tied up underneath with this weird hat. So this is like the first time that we get sort of a description of what Aeneas is wearing. So apparently he wears a special kind of hat, a Maionian hat, and that's another way to translate that is an Asiatic hat. And he has something dripping in his hair. I'm assuming that that's some sort of like product, maybe gel. I don't know. Perfume, most likely, some sort of perfumey product in his hair. And it's really clear to Iarbas that however Aeneas is presented, like however he's dressed or what he's putting in his hair, is really kind of like not manly at all. Okay. So once again, literally, that Paris with his half manly or effeminate entourage, having been tied under with respect to his chin and dripping hair with a Maionian hat, possesses, and then I guess we have to say that he possesses, I don't know, the kingdom, meaning Dido's kingdom, possesses the kingdom having been seized. And then this last part is a very sarcastic statement, and we know that by quippe. Quippe is a very sarcastic word in Latin, and it means surely or indeed. So surely or indeed, we bring gifts to your temples, and we cherish this useless reputation. Wow. So he's basically calling Jupiter's reputation as being the most frightening of the gods. He's calling that into question, and is basically like, there's no point in believing that because you haven't really helped me out here, man. So that's it.